Okay, you see I got a mess going on. But what I do is I have a bunch of 8-inch diameter plate blanks, and I'm making one cut. And so that way I have my jig set up for one setup. Now you can see on my tracks, I got my tracks marked, but I got two little wood screws here, well, 2, 4, 6, 8, and that's what keeps it in the track. And I use the marks because there's the center line, which is marked right there, and these two are for the center. And I have this to brush. Once this thing gets done, I got to brush all that out of there so it works. And part of my process is how many turns. And on this process, which is the bottom side edge, I go up 6 turns. Now I'm going to reset it and do another cut here. But the reason I'm doing all at once is because they're all going to be the same. It'll be a factory style process. Now my blanks are all here. They've been cut, and the edges have been, I took a drum sander and went around them. I cut the first one, and that ain't how it's supposed to be. It'll work, but it's going to take some sanding. Here's some of my safety stuff. Now, the thing you're looking at is how is it powered? Well, you put one of these in here, and I could put a piece of plexiglass right there, but I haven't yet because I know it's going to get clogged up. I sit there and I rotate, get my hands on either side right here, and I rotate this thing, and I count each time I turn that thing. So I usually pick whatever side I want up. You can see that side's been in the sun, this side hasn't. This one's got some striations that may show up pretty good on the bowl section. But I brung this outside because I've done some cutting inside the shop, and I don't want this damn mess inside the shop anymore. So that's why I brung that out here. Let me take you inside and show you a couple of my processes. Okay, to make the blank, this is out of the center of the jig, so that's 8-inch diameter. So what I did is I went there and I took a pencil and I scribed around it, and then went over to my bandsaw and I cut these blanks out. Now I tried the blanks out in that jig and they were too tight, so I had to do some work on the edge. And so what I had done is I put this drum sander here on my drill press. I took this off and I would brace it up against that edge like that, and I would knock that booger down, and you can see that's the remnants. I think there's 14 of these blanks I cut out, and you can see what I do is I do 3 good turns and then go test it. And this can fit up tight up against that, so you got only a little bit of a gap. And the set I was using was this one. I couldn't get the big one to get tight enough. You can see how that band moves, and every time I try to sand with it, it would just spin. So the other one worked, so I used it. But that's why I got this blank around right here, is to keep for tracing purposes. And next time I'll have to cut, whenever that pencil mark is, I'll have to cut on the inside of the pencil mark. So let me do some more excuse me, let me do some more work and get another section knocked out. Okay guys, I'm going to make a cut and show you my process that I'm still working on the bottom first cut. So I'm going to try to brace my camera up real quick. Let me see if that works. I didn't bring my tripod out. Okay, just hang in there and watch this. Okay, I kind of cleaned up the mess because I don't want it piling up underneath it, and I got one left to cut, and then I'll do another setup and make another cut on them. So let me turn this off. Okay, I got the two bottom cuts done, and you'll see the majority of them are about that 3/8. You can see that outside cut on there. I had two of them. That's a 1/4 inch, and that's a 1/4 inch. So I had two of them that got thin, but the rest of them are consistent thicknesses. You can see how that goes. So now what I'm going to do is switch over to cut the bowl part. And well, you can see all the sawdust around. I took the two wing nuts off so I could lift this up and brush out the dust and crud from underneath it. I've got my first setup, which would be this line, which goes down the middle, and then I'll put it on that second line. The two for the bottom will be these two lines up here, and then these two are for the bowl. So let me get doing some cutting. Okay, I came back and I put an edge cut on that first one. It's really thin, it's lightweight. Take a lot of sanding and careful sanding to get that one right. But the process I'm doing right now is starting the bowl. This will be the first cut on the bowl. It's eight turns up, and that's probably a little more than a 1/4 inch thick. And the problem I'm having is that these blanks are jamming up they won't get to where they turn, so I'm having to rasp some of the material off the sides, and then I made this little thing put on the bottom to help turn it so it has some grip. And I don't have near as much dust now, but I'm kind of wondering why they're jamming up. But that's where I'm at. Spread some of this sawdust around. So let me get through the rest of these. Look at that mess. Well, anyhow, I got it on its last position. That's the middle, right there. And that was 8 turns up, and they're all the same. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit more on this outside edge out. And then after that, it'd be sanding them up. And that'll be a long, drawn-out affair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. I got 14 of these together. So let me get busy cutting that. I'll have to experiment and see how many turns I got to do to get it where I want it. Let me get busy. Okay, I'm done. That was the first one. Remember, it was kind of a mistake. I went too far where my finger is. It's real thin. It may turn out okay. I just don't know how I'm going to sand it without breaking it. I want to show you guys a good mistake. I mean, look at this. Look at all that. I hope that keeps the weeds from growing. I went the wrong direction with the blade. If I could take that sawdust and mix it with glue and stick it down in there, I might be able to salvage that, but I still don't know how I'm going to sand it. But this is how these turned out. I got a whole stack of them here. About 3/8 edge right there. Double cut on the bottom. That is where I put that gripper. So I may use I don't know, I may or may not. What I did on the other one, I clear coated the top, I didn't clear coat the bottom. So I got to figure out how to sand these, and if you noticed, it's not a perfect circle, and it jammed a lot inside that thing, and that's what gives you these lines. I may have to get me one of them small little triangle sanders that'll fit down inside there. I don't think that's bad. Especially, I only made one other one before this. But what I'd like to do is get me another one like this, but this is 8-inch, but do a 10-inch and do the same setup. Maybe make this a little bit thinner right here. Try to center everything and do the same kind of marks, you know, like I did right here. I'm going to have to get up here. What I did is I chiseled in some areas, and I'd have to do that for this. So gotta clean. I'm gonna clean this up and put all that up, call it a day. I've been out here a couple hours working on this, starting with procedures and stuff, but wonder if I could put a piece of tape on the back side and then put that glue and sawdust inside there. Man, you can hear how hoarse my voice is. That's from breathing this crap. I should have got a mask on. This ain't gonna hurt you, but What a mess, what a mess. Anyhow, that's where I'm at on this. I'll get a little bit more when I do some sanding. So catch you then. Okay, real quick on this is the jig. This marks the center line, you know, the center of the blade. And so my first bowl cut will be there, and then the second one is right here. Which I do is I move that down to the center point, and that way I get the edge is closer. Now here is my underside cut, there and there. It takes two to get the underside cut, and from my experience, I'm going to see how I chiseled that in. I'm going to do that to this. This is my 8-inch kit. I may put a brace down here because there's a little bit of a warp to this. Now on this side, I couldn't find any 1/2-inch stuff, so I used just a couple of wood screws. And that's all I got to do to lock it in place. My table saw has 1/2-inch guides, which normal is 3/4 inch. That's why I can't find any guide stuff for this table saw. 8-inch hole. I kept the centerpiece I use as a guide to mark on my other pieces. Now I'm going to make one 10 inches so I can make 10-inch plates, and I'll do it the exact same way. Center line offset and then bottom offset on it, but it will just be bigger. Now what I'd like to do is cut a section to go around this completely to raise it up and also stiffen it. Now it looks dark. That's because I soaked it down with mineral oil. It has a little bit of a warp to it, and I was trying to clamp it to stop it from doing that. And it did some, but not completely. But also the mineral oil will make this last forever, basically. So once I have this completed, you know, and it's pretty much done except for the chiselings out them little lines like that. But a little video of the jig I used to make them plates, and I'm going to do another short video and show you what I did to the plates. Okay, the plates have been sanded, and I've started the process of clear coating only the top, not the bottom. Now you notice that they look kind of hazy. That's because I used the thin runny clear coat, which likes to get down inside the pores, and it kind of leaves a matte finish. But what I had done is I took steel wool. Well, I started with the scrubber pad, and I switched over to the steel wool, and the steel wool really buffed these out real well. And what that is smoothing that surface up. This is the Val spar finish, which is a lot thicker, and I'm using that as my second coat, and you can see how it's laid on real glossy. It's nice, it's thick, it lays down better, and that's what I'm going to end up with is the Val. It's a thicker varnish, no varnish, clear coat. I use no stain whatsoever on this. Now, like I said, on the back side, you can see I sanded and I clear coated the edges, because basically all you're going to see is just like that. And to show you how here's a flapper wheel. Now I got to cut this away more or remove this, but you can see just a little bit of dust there. But I would use, get up. This backside was easy, and I would sand this part with a mouse sander, and then I also use the mouse sander in the middle. But I would use this, get this in different positions right here, and this really smoothed this out good. And then that outer edge right there was with the mouse sander. Yeah, there's minor imperfections. I don't care. You give that to somebody and they're going to light up like a Christmas tree. So, I got one I repaired. Where'd it go? Well, it's here somewhere. I repaired one and I bring it over. Let me show you one that I got over here. You've seen this one before. Instead of going down with the blade, I brung the blade up. Let me get my camera right. And then I had a nice little notch right there too. I'm filling it in with glue and sawdust that's laying around. And I was filling in some more. There was a bubble. I'm trying to fill all that in. I got to fill some more of that in. But getting these holes filled in, that will sand out, and it'll just be a unique, let's just call it that, a unique cedar bowl plate. So that's what I'm working on now. These have got one finish of clear, thin clear, and now I'm using a VAR. Ah, crap. Let me just bring you over here and show you. This is the first one. Fast drying polyurethane. Real runny. This is Helmsman spar urethane. It's real thick, clear. That's what I want. That's what you want to finish with. So that's going to get in the pores and lock it in, and that's going to give it the shine. And the back side, like I said, on the back side, I'm going to leave open. I'm going to put a like mineral oil or something like that on the back side to moisturize it. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay, I wanted to bring out, I've been soaking it down with baby oil, and I ain't kidding. You can just pour a little bit like right in there and it just soaks right on through. And I'm wanting to soak these down real good, but let me kind of give you now the edge is going to be a little greasy, but I wanted to show the ones I like the best are the ones that's got the dual wood, the two colored woods. Now there is some mistakes, you know. I didn't sand that one deep enough, but I didn't see it till I got it out here. This is probably the thinnest one. I got it down to 1/4 inch. Most of them are in the 3/8, and I wanted to soak them down good. I got clear. Now I used two types of clear. I used the thin clear to seal up the pores. And then I took a steel wool, scuffed it up, and then I went back with the Val Spar varnish, thicker, more heavy duty. And I didn't coat this side because I didn't think I needed it. Because I want to be folks to be able to turn them over and moisturize it like I did. And these are going to be gifts. And it was my first time trying this. Yeah, you can see how they do. Sometimes if you really get bear down on it, you can polish it out. Like that one was almost polished out. I had a little chip out there, but to me that adds character to it. This is the one I went through. I went the wrong direction on the saw blade, and I don't know. It's still pretty. I mean, you're going to be putting stuff in here, but I've been soaking these down 3 or 4 times I've done that. You can see that they're still wet, but it's soaked it all in. And it helps bring the color of the wood out. And I'm hoping too that soak it in from that side will keep these from cracking and last a long time. You can see the grain really comes out with that clear. That one really turned out nice. I wished I didn't have them little marks in it. I like that mixture of grain and different colored woods. That one turned out pretty good too. So I'm just going to clean these up and take them inside, get them out of this dirty shop. But I was just showing you guys a simple little jig, and this is what you come up with. Yeah, there's, you know, kind of greasy on the sides, but that's that mineral oil. But yeah, you know, you work a system down, get you a bunch going at the same time. These were cut from a 8-inch by 8-inch piece of 1-inch thick cedar, and I started from there. What I would do first is cut the bowl part first. With a 10-inch saw, you don't have to change the blades out, you just move the position of it. First cut this bowl side, and then you flick it over like this, and you'll do the bottom. This will be the bottom. So that would be my advice on that. But that's how these turned out. So that'll be the end of this video. Hope you guys liked that. And it really wasn't that hard. The hardest part was cutting the circle. I've got a little jig I'm going to put on my jigsaw and try to make that a lot easier to do that. If I get that part down, cutting really good circles, and it'd be easy to do this. But anyhow, hope you guys like this. I kind of like how they look. You see that grain coming through in the different colors of the cedar. Around this area, I mean, we get cedar. There's cedar mills everywhere. And I got a couple of them I go to get my stuff. And it's one of them is on my I did a video on S&S down in Mansfield, Arkansas, run by Evan Smith, and he helped me get a 2-inch slab, which I made a nice piece out of, and I'll make some more pieces because I have leftovers of that. But hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll catch you on the next video.